I think corruption is, is a real brake on business and a real brake on development. And of course it's not an African problem solely. There's equally the companies from around the world who are also making corrupt payments and who are bribing government officials. They're equally to blame. So, but I think what we see is that the resources that should have been spent on development, whether it's in health, on education, schools, hospitals, are being diverted into companies that are in the Virgin Islands or in Swiss bank accounts and so on, and that's wrong. Well, we support a number of organisations, for example, Global Witness, which does deep investigations into corruption and sort of malfeasance worldwide. They look at extractive industries, oil, mining, gas, logging and so on, and they expose those kind of corrupt practices. So it's through our investees, the people we support, that we see the most impact taking place. It's quite difficult because obviously you can look at the audience figures. That's one measurement of impact. So if a digital platform or a newspaper is reaching hundreds of thousands of millions of people, that is impact of some kind. But the more difficult thing is to try and look at the engagement that happens. So, how much time do people spend on the site? What do they do as a result? And I think we look at it in two ways. Number one is how it impacts the audiences, but then also how does it impact politicians? So what do they do if there is a story about their ministry or their company or whatever it happens to be? So what impact does it have on them and their behaviour, which I think is the more important and interesting metric to try and track. I think we've invested in a number of media companies, a number of media organisations which have had an impact. There's one which is called The World Investigates, which did a series called Africa Investigates, and there was an excellent programme about Ghana, where they did a sting operation with High Court judges pretending to be a lawyer and offering bribes to try and get their clients freed. And as a result of that, I think there was something like 12 High Court judges who were suspended. So those are the kind of direct impact you can see as a result of media interventions. I think ultimately economic development is the solution. So that's why we invest in early stage companies, in companies that can employ people, create jobs. So in an ideal world, that's the solution. It's about providing, whether it's Nigeria, whether it's Ghana, whether it's Mongolia, it's about providing the sort of economic conditions and helping to support the growth of an economy. That's what's going to really develop a country. I think foreign aid in humanitarian circumstances is essential. Whether there's an earthquake, if there's a landslide, people around the world also want to help. It's a humanitarian response. And I think foreign aid, if targeted, if it's also transparent, is a really important way of actually helping to support development. I think it's on a path, and I think we're starting to see, I've been coming to Nigeria for 20 plus years, and I've seen huge improvements during that time. But it's all relative. And I think there's still problems, there's still issues that need to be solved. But I think generally the country is more prosperous than it was. There is probably less corruption than there was. But again, it's relative. The government, I think, is trying its best. But I think there's many other organisations, civil society, the media, businesses and so on, which are part of this picture as well.